Guys, welcome back to my channel where today I will be discussing the pros and cons of using aluminum molds in your pillar making process. Aluminum mold, as you can see, it's a pretty sturdy mold. With that being said, you won't have to worry about any deformities coming because unless you hit it hard against something, you're not going to get any type of smash or, you know, it won't cave in on itself or anything like that. So you're more than likely going to keep the integrity of the mold, right? So that's one big pro. It's durable. Another pro with aluminum molds is that everyone that I've come across always comes with that pre-drilled wick centering hole. So you never have to guess, okay, is this centered? Do I, is this right for the pillar? It takes all the guesswork out of that. You just know that if you thread it in and if it's manufactured correctly, you're going to have a perfectly centered mold for this, or a perfectly centered wick, sorry, for this style of candle. So, um, that's about where all the pros end. Now we're going to get into the cons and why I think that you won't find this as much on the market as you do, say, like a silicone mold. So one reason you're not going to find this on the market um, as much as like a silicone type of mold is because these, at least from my experience, are extremely difficult to use. And what I mean by difficult is it's very hard to get your candle out of the aluminum mold once it has set and cooled inside of it. Um, you can use, some makers will use cooking oil, like vegetable oil or something, to coat the inside of the mold, or even use mold release spray to help ease or shake the finished candle out. Um, but for the most part, every time that I've tried using mold release spray and have let it cool overnight, cool for a whole 24 hours, I've never been able to get my pillar out perfectly intact. It just, it doesn't happen for me. It could be user error on my part. I don't profess to know everything it is about to know about using aluminum molds, primarily because I just like them. But could be user error on my end. I can't entirely discount that. But from my experience, ridiculously hard to release the candle once it's cool. And sometimes, even though this has a perfectly centered um, wick guide here to thread through, it can be hard to get the wick in. Whereas, like with silicone molds, you can use your your threading needle and just poke a hole and thread your wick in. I mean, it's kind of hard to do that, especially with the one that I use that has that at the top. See, you're not going to thread that through all the way. So when I could use this and I have to wick or get my candle wick in through the center, I actually have to kind of use tweezers to kind of guide my wick through the hole. And that can be kind of annoying after a certain time, especially something this long. You got to kind of feed it through and then wait till it gets to a certain point and then try to grab it out. And it can be time consuming and frustrating. So, con, hard to get your finished product out. Con, wicking can be tricky, getting your wick threaded through there without using the needle. And last but certainly not least, pricing. These aluminum molds tend to be a little more expensive than the more favorable silicone molds or even some of the plastic molds. So just being mindful of like budgetary constraints. These might not be the ones that you want to turn to for your pillar making process. Okay, so that's all I have on aluminum molds. As you can see, not a lot because to be perfectly frank, I really don't use them. But just because I don't use them doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out and explore, I would say, the wide world of aluminum molds, but I don't really know how wide that is. But you shouldn't go out and experiment for yourself and see if that's something you may enjoy. I think for aluminum molds, those are great for those classically um, typical, elegantly designed standard pillars. Great option if you don't mind the frustration of taking it out. Oh, another tip that forgot to mention as far as the ease of release of the candle out of the mold is that you can opt to pop your um, mold in the fridge, but you just kind of got to be careful with that too, because sometimes popping it in the fridge for too long can cause the candle to crack. And well, what's the point, right? Okay, so let me know if you found this information useful or helpful, or if you are one of those individuals who loves to use silicone mold, or not silicone, excuse me, aluminum molds. Freudian slip. Please comment below why, or maybe you have some tidbits for me on how I can better use aluminum molds. Either way, let me know below. And if you found this information useful, helpful, valuable, shareable, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, where I will be posting more videos regarding, I guess, plastic molds, silicone molds, how a step-by-step process of how I make my pillars, and all of that good stuff to come. So until next time.